What's going on around this camp? I am Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. Let's see who we got in the chat, shall we, peoples? Let's see. We got Sandy, Wendy, Kristen, Melinda. Hey, Kristen. Natalie, how are you? Denisha, Roberta, Sandy, Wendy, the seventh son, Steve-O. Well, that can't be. Can't be the same seventh son. That man has spent literally months talking about what a lowlife I am. That can't be him. Barbara Aldrich, good to see ya. Never know, though, right? Oh, wait, bad jokes as well. Yeah, no, it's him. Roberta, Rocket Queen, how you doing? Caroline in Canada. Diane, DS Kitty, there you are. Here I am, your Rocket Queen. Oh, yeah. Hey, Brock. There's Barbara Waite. All right, I think I caught most of yous. Most of yous. So this is the all-you-can-eat buffet here at the Lifeboat. I had a show I was going to do, and then at the very last second, I mean, literally at the very last second, I decided that maybe this wasn't the day for it. But I got it. It'll be. I'll announce it to closer to the end, I guess, is what I'll do. So the actor Charlie Sheen released a book today. I'm not sure if you guys knew that. This is his. This is not a comeback, according to him. This is more of a making amends kind of a put together here. It's a memoir called The Book of Sheen, and it came out today. There's also a documentary that's coming out at the same time. For a guy not doing a comeback, he seems to be putting a lot of effort into it. Talks a lot about his addiction in this thing. Talks about the cycle that everybody who's ever been an addict goes through. Misael Smokes, good to see you. Where you use and then you relapse, and little short parts of his life where he tried to stay sober. Allegedly, he's 8 years sober now. His interviews, I'll be honest, you guys will have to go and watch him and then get back to me and tell me what you think. The thing with Charlie is we have a lot of Charlie, right? We've been looking at this cat since 1985, 1986. We've had millions and millions of interviews, or views rather, for interviews that he's done. And then that whole thing where he started yelling about tiger blood, and he got sober by, what do you say, blinking his eyes?
Yeah, he blinked and fixed his brain.
He blinked and fixed his brain. Tiger blood. He was winning. You remember this? Lived with a couple of prostitutes, bragged about it quite a bit. Here's why this is of some importance. Because back in the day, 2017, the National Enquirer, go ahead and put your whatever your favorite joke for the National Enquirer is. This is not a magazine that is known for doing fantastic stories. Unfortunately, they do fantastic stories, but this is a very new phenomenon for them. When I was growing up, they did stories that said stuff like the bust of Elvis found on Mars, or bat children. That one gets a lot of airplay, but hey, Renee B, bat children. How am I feeling?
Infant whispers lottery numbers to his mom.
Yeah, that's another good one. Infant whispers lottery numbers to his mom, which, by the way, turned out to be losers. But nevertheless, I'm kidding. But they did an article on Charlie Sheen where it alleged that while he was on the set of a film that he made in 1986, there was a film called Lucas. It's actually it's a pretty decent film. But allegedly, between two trailers, Charlie Sheen raped Corey. Now, almost everybody knows who Corey Haim is. He was an actor, and he had a really tough go. He seemed to spiral really out of control and downhill, and he's no longer with us. It's a terribly sad story. Now, Charlie Sheen denies this emphatically. He's never once admitted that he had any contact with Corey Haim. However, he also never admitted that he's ever had contact with any man. In his book that came out today, Charlie Sheen has announced that he definitely went down that path for a little while, and that he considers himself bisexual. That opens a bunch more questions. In my opinion, it does. I mean, obviously, there was a predilection toward being attracted to men, and if that is the case, then it makes one wonder, right, whether or not there's a possibility that what Corey Haim told no less than a half a dozen people. This is not something that he just. There are so many interviews out there from people that all recount the same story told to them by Corey Haim, and it's horrific. He took cooking oil. She lathered the poor kid up with, and then said, "This is what guys do." Is the is the phrase that Corey Haim said that Charlie Sheen used before he sodomized him on the set of Lucas. Oddly enough, that's when the kid's life went to hell. I mean, from that point on, things really kind of got bad for him. Rocket Queen says, oh man, Sheen is scuzzy. I'm not too surprised. You know, I don't know. You've been vape free for 3 years now. Congratulations. That's fantastic. Always an alleged sighting with a photo of Elvis on the front page. Yeah, the thing is this, they've kind of got, so Sheen is not bisexual. No, B-Lady, Sheen is bisexual. He's now admitting that. That is what is happening. Hello, Relatable Reese. Good to have you here. Corey's been saying this for years. Yes, the other Corey as well. Corey Feldman. I don't know whether you guys know this. We're big fans of Corey Feldman here on the Love Boat channel. I can't back that up. I really can't. I love all his old films, but he's become a bit of a jackwagon in his later years as well. Some allegations out there about him. That doesn't mean proof, right? Allegations don't mean squat, but there are a lot of them. There are a lot of the ladies that went on tour with him had a very, very difficult time with that. So I don't know. This brings up a lot of interesting questions, but it also brings up this recurring theme of how stars walk on almost everything that they do, because we absolutely allow our elite in the United States are famous people. Fame brings you a lot in the U.S. So they're allowed to get away with all kinds of things that no one should ever get away with. You know, we talked about the live streamer Vitaly. One of this man's arrests was for eating 60 grams of psychedelic mushrooms and then beating up a woman as bad as any guy ever beat up a guy. Like he crushed this woman. He just got on top of her and started punching her in the face while tripping. Did not any time at all for this. None. As a man of wealth he was able to just hand some money through an attorney to this woman and everything kind of went away. Charlie Sheen's not going to get punished for this, but it is putting into the ether more things that I think we're going to see an unraveling of Hollywood. First of all, how long before they just decide that AI is a lot easier than actually using actors? I promise you that day is coming. So let's see here. Why are these Hollywood people bisexual or polyamorous? Well, here's the thing. If you want to get someone to do, something that they really don't want to do, because this has been alleged with Diddy and with a lot of other very powerful people, is that there's some kind of a test that you're going to pass if you're going to be a part of the cool club. And often, you know, allegedly, especially with the hip hop world, that seems to be being sodomized, right? Or performing oral sex. Doing something that is not of your sexual nature is probably the most uncomfortable concept for most people on earth, unless you were, you know, that's the way you get down. Well, in some ways, everyone could be considered bisexual. I promise it took 2 different sexes and none in between to make every single one of us. Apparently, neither were confused. They figured it out. Well, that's a good thing. That is a good thing. Wouldn't be here without it, right? Yeah, Johnny does need to rest and feel better. You know, he's not in great shape. And if you missed the show that my brother did, we have figured out, I mean, I guess that there's a little bit of peace to it, but we have been poisoned, and apparently we're not the only one. There's a series of people that have gone down and talked about this, and the theory as it is currently out is hydraulic fluid got into a batch at the factory. It's a little bit different down here than it is in the U.S., where you can get, you know, results in a matter of seconds. So we'll be waiting for some phone calls and some things. Bottom line is, if we had gotten a lot of this stuff into us, it would have been the end of the story. If you drink this stuff straight, they say absolutely it will take you out very, very quickly. But the doctor told me that most everyone that she's dealt with is talking about the exact same symptoms, which is just being really, really run down. You know what? I'm not getting burned, I promise, B-Lady, but thank you for caring. I have been being very careful. The equatorial sun is different. And there are people who go, yeah, you know, you're not that much closer, really. You really got to check it out. Come here and check out the Ecuadorian sun, and you will, even on days that the sun is not out, you will absolutely get burned if you're not careful. Man, you guys are going to be able to lift really heavy things now. You know what? That would be really cool. Or maybe spin webs. out of the palm of your hand kind of thing. However, I think more than likely, our only superpower is going to be, not to give you too much information. Wait till you see how that dovetails into my next one. But not to give you too much information, but I have a superpower right now. I could clear a restroom the size of the one in Grand Central Station in New York. It would take me probably about 4 minutes. The passing of this stuff through your body is very different than anything else that I have ever endured, so to speak. Yeah, no bueno. Hey, Brock, I don't know if I said hello to you. Good to see you, Brock Bandy. And the craziest thing is, so we're probably on day 6 or 7 since we found out about the water. And I would say that we've had days where you thought it was over. You know, anytime I've ever, like my only point of reference to detoxing off of anything is always a chemical that got you high, right? I do clear bathrooms when I eat hummus. This is so much worse though. I now find myself in an unusual position where number one, there's no antidote. And number two, there's no predictability. You know what I mean? A couple of days after you're feeling bad, you start feeling better. By day 3 or 4, I thought, oh man, this is almost over. I feel fantastic. And then the next day I felt like I was going to die. And then I had a good day. And today has been horrible. How did I get hydraulic oil into you? Well, it started out as a bet. We were playing quarter shot. I can't back that up. I'm kidding. They think that it got into the 5-gallon carboys. And I'm not going to try to hurt the business or do anything like that. But apparently we do all share the same delivery. We all do share the same delivery service. Projectile acidic vomit. In Johnny's case, lava vomit. Yeah, Johnny's lava has been known to melt pavement, although it's been a while. The wind is such a nice Irish way to say it, isn't it? Yeah, and they'll ask it in a question too, Kellyanne, won't they? The Irish in their communications are fascinating because they'll always say things like, well, it'll give you the wind, won't it? Now you're the one that has to say it gives you the wind. Everything seems to be a question with them. It's fantastic. I'm a hummus fan. I really do love hummus. It's one of my favorite things, but unfortunately it gives me the wind something fierce. Dovetailing in from, not to get too personal, the fascination of this genre, right? No generation before us has ever done anything like this, right? We've never had an opportunity as human beings to sit in your living room and have conversations with a group of people at the same time all over the world. And it brings up a whole host of really interesting things that can happen in your life, right? Unfortunately, one of the things that can happen is you get people who have literally now made their life in terms of recreation, in terms of what they do for fun, to just mess with people that create content. When we were kids, everyone had hobbies. You might have ridden bikes, you might have done dirt bikes, you might have been a skier, right? Whatever you do, bowling. There are millions of people that spend 8 hours a day trolling through the entire internet to pick the people that they decide that they would like to eliminate from the platform, so to speak. Tourists have to be careful when visiting a developing country. Between alcohol and water, anyone can be at risk. Great piece of advice. So most people, and one of the reasons that we're talking about this, as I said, I was dovetailing into this. One of the reasons that the troll activity is always the way it is because the more open you are, the more you give them an opportunity to really go after you. And if you're doing something that talks about connection at any level, you're obviously going to be a little bit more open. And if you have, if you start to date somebody that's also in that line of work, it really opens you up to a lot. And if things don't end the way that you might have wanted them to, it will get even, right? There's just a lot of potential. And the more you invite people into your life, the closer you are with your audience, which is a very cool thing, but you open yourself up to a lot more of the BS. And I don't do it anymore. And I know that there are people that are probably bummed out about this. I get a lot of questions and I'm not answering most of them. And that's kind of the way that it has to be, right? It really is kind of the way it has to be if you're going to continue to do this. And I would like to. There are a lot of people that I have formed what I believe to be solid friendships with. However, in the interest of protecting my sanity, my serenity, and my channel, I am doing a lot less letting people into my house, so to speak. So allow me to say this. A lot of you keep talking about Raul's Revenge or where you get the, in Mexico, parasites in the water, that the people who live there just are basically, it's immune from birth because it's generation after generation that's doing it. This is not what's happening here. So the reason that we wanted to be able to give you a little bit of an idea without a ton of details, I'm going to get answers from people that are going to say, hey, which chemicals are in there? I'm not doing this because all it will be is people that are going to look up every one of these and send me emails with the worst possible case scenario that, this particular phosphate or whatever will do in your body. And it's just not something that these days that I allow in at that level. Does that make sense? I hope you guys understand that. But this is not bad water. This was purified water that got tainted. We don't drink tap water here, ever. We actually are in a building that takes the time to clean up this water. We still don't drink it. What we should have done, though, and lesson to everyone on planet Earth, if you're going to buy bottled water in a developing country, buy a Brita filter and pour your bottled water through the Brita filter. Because doing that is a lock for being able to pull through, to make sure that it is. Have any of you guys seen Tommy on STS Nation? I think I saw myself there once. I overheard two very large women speaking the other day and noticed their accent. I said, oh, you two ladies are from Britain. Them, you mean Wales? Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. It's pretty funny, though. B-Lady, Tommy has been a guest here many times. That's where I met Tommy. He was sharing his story. Yeah, you know what? Surviving the Survivor is one of my favorite channels ever. I walked away from Surviving the Survivor, and we haven't done business together, so to speak, because I love the channel. And there was a period of time there where me going near anything brought guys like Seventh Son and all of his friends in there to trash me and to talk about all of the alleged crimes that I've been doing since I was 11 or 12. The funny thing is, I've shared all of my crimes. You guys know what that deal is. However, fascinating time over at places like Surviving the Survivor because that horrific family that's been on trial, the Adelsons. First, the son was got convicted. This guy was a dentist worth a ton of money, and his sister was married to a college professor who was also a lawyer, and didn't want the divorce to go down the way that this thing went down. Right. So the divorce was looking like there was a big custody battle over the kids, and there was a lot of some anti-Semitic allegations, and her putting the people into Nazi suits. I mean, it was really hideous. I don't know if the accusations are true, but it is absolutely hideous. So the brother gets convicted of hiring hitmen to kill his brother-in-law, which he successfully does. He had been tried, big, huge trial, got convicted. He's doing life. His mother subsequently got arrested, Donna, trying to go into Vietnam. And why would you head to Vietnam? Because it's a great place to go to somewhere else from. She was, I think, that wasn't the last stop. I think they were probably trying to go to some place like Abu Dhabi or someplace like that. Anyway, she got busted, brought back, and the matriarch, the grandmother of this family, just got convicted. So the question becomes, when are they going to arrest Wendy Adelson? That will be justice once that case is over. If Wendy gets arrested, I should probably say when Wendy gets arrested, I am absolutely going to be covering that case. I am fascinated, not just with the case, but very particularly, I am fascinated with Wendy Adelson. She is the personification of evil. If you watch her first interview, how she sits with the investigators, knowing exactly what happened and why it happened, the show that she put on, she's a lowlife. I really would like to see her get it. As far as I'm concerned, her mother and her brother are in prison because she talked them into this situation. That's my humble opinion. But I'm also, look, a lot of these things that I'm bringing up right now, I really am interested in all of them, but we kind of got to figure out directions that we're going to go. It's kind of why I called it a buffet today. There's no getting away from this Epstein thing. Even for people who go, you know what, I've heard enough of that. You haven't even heard the start of it. What the Epstein situation is so much bigger than anybody thought. And the reason it's cut and dry why both parties did not put this out, because the first part, the Democrats could have released all this. They had they had all three branches of government on lock. They could have done whatever they wanted to do. They didn't. And my argument has always been if there was some really nasty Trump stuff in there, most assuredly they would have done that instead of this whole Russia hoax, which, by the way, is now a stone cold fact that it was a hoax. When you start to look at the entire picture, and I don't care whether you like Trump or don't like him. Currently, I don't like him at all. So it doesn't matter to me. But the fact is, what they did is seditious. It's absolutely something that can not only get you life, I'm pretty sure it can get you the gas chamber. Georgia is not going to bring a case against Wendy unless she believes she can win it. Yeah, it's going to be a tough. It's going to be a tougher prosecution because they definitely kept her out of it in terms of at least the getting your hands dirty, or at least from what we've seen in the evidence. Dan Markell wouldn't let his ex-wife, Wendy Adelson, move to the opposite end of the state with their son. So rude to be a princess. That's a great comment. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. It's ugly. That whole case is just so foul because it just didn't need to happen. I mean, it was a divorce. You know, you're going to bump somebody off because you don't want to get a divorce. That's a frightening concept. So but where we find ourselves with Epstein is that there was a interview done with Ghislaine Maxwell. This is the interview that she did with the Department of Justice that got her shipped from a maximum security prison where you will do your time. Well, not maximum. She may have been an FCI, but she was at a custody level that was considered medium or high, because as a sex offender, she could not go to a lower camp. She couldn't even go to an FCI low. So the really cushy places around the country that she could have gone to were off limits. And the reason for that is that's a policy. It's just the way it is. If your crime is a sexual crime, you're not going to end up, you're going to be at the high custody levels forever. So why was she transferred? And the storyline has been, well, Trump's afraid she's going to turn him in for having sex with all these kids. And if you believe that, I'm totally cool with you believing that. That's no problem. However, I don't think that that is the issue. The issue here is this. If you read the entire interview that she did with the Justice Department, all the news articles took out of this is that they didn't talk about a client list. Where's this list of clients? We want to know who did this. And they didn't give him any dirt on Trump. And you know what? They didn't even give him any dirt on Clinton. And we all know he's dirty, right? Everybody kind of knows he's dirty. He's been on the planes, 27? I can't remember the exact number. It's a lot of flights that he took on the Epstein Air Force, not all on the Lolita Express. He was going to places other than just Little James Island. So what exactly was going on? Well, if you listen to the entire interview, they talk about the CGI. She said, I was absolutely integral in the formation and the building in the early days of CGI. Doesn't that sound like something you would do in a stunt at Hollywood so you didn't have to blow up a car? It's the Clinton Global Initiative. If you go to their homepage and ask what the Clinton Global Initiative is, it's a pay-for-play scheme. And the amazing thing is that they don't even hide it. They say it's an opportunity to come together with really powerful people and network, but you got to pay to do it. Well, that's all fine and dandy, unless you happen to be the Secretary of State, in which case that's a problem. And somewhere around 80, 84 or 85% of all of the people that met with Hillary Clinton while she was Secretary of State also donated to the Clinton Global Initiative, their charity. So if you didn't donate, then you didn't get to see her. And by the way, it seems like that might have been vice versa, because in the case of the Moroccan government, $12 million or somewhere in there was pledged to Slick Bill to head in there and do a speech. Hell of a public speaker, that Bill Clinton. That's $12 million. That's good work if you can get it right there, Johnny Scogle. You do one or two of those a year, you'd have to set yourself up a pretty tight budget, but I think you could make it. You could probably get by. When she said that she wasn't going to be able to get out there, and neither were her husband, they pulled back the donation. In fact, they sent her an email, and that email said, you don't give us the 12, you don't send your husband, or if you don't come out here, because it's clout for that government. It's clout for all those people. If we don't get a visit from you, we're not donating. This is the Secretary of State of the United States of America, from the same party that's pissing and moaning that people that come to Washington, D.C. stay at Trump's hotel by choice, not by force. But that shouldn't be allowed. That shouldn't be legal. So what happens is that the Department of Justice finds out about this big time. She gets caught with a server in her house. Why do you need a server in your house, in your bathroom, tucked in a closet? that has nothing to do with the actual government method of sending emails back and forth to another. You need that because that entire server was paid for play stuff. Everything on there was the Clintons setting up huge amounts of money to be paid to them so that they could put it into that Clinton Global Initiative. This was set up by Jeffrey Epstein and his girlfriend with Bill Clinton. And that's probably why he has a picture of Bill Clinton in a dress hanging in his living room. I mean, the representation of this was my bitch kind of thing. That's what that painting is obviously trying to represent. Well, he must have been, because the amount of dirt that the Clinton Global Initiative is generating in this entire thing. So the Attorney General normally comes out and tells the people who they're going to prosecute and who they're not, right? But we didn't see the Attorney General come out and say, we're not going to prosecute Hillary Clinton. That was the FBI that came out and said that. They don't do that. Look back through history, it just doesn't happen because it's outside their purview. It's not what they're allowed to do. Their job is to go investigate the stuff. And literally, in theory, if they're doing their job right, they're not even coming in there and going, guy's guilty of sin, let me tell you why. In theory, you drop it on the desk and go, here's everything we were able to figure out. Then the Department of Justice, which is the biggest law firm in the United States for all intent, so they come in, they look at it and go, well, it doesn't meet this criteria, but it might meet that criteria. Instead, the head of the FBI, that huge, tall guy, Comey, comes out and makes a speech that says, hey, we're not going to prosecute Hillary Clinton on this because no reasonable prosecutor would bring a case against her. Well, we'll never know, will we? Because now he's the scapegoat. Loretta Lynn, or Loretta, was it Lynn or Lynch? Loretta Lynch. Everyone else in the government could do the my hands are clean thing because they didn't touch this thing. Very similarly, the largest bank in Switzerland, I touched on this the other day, the largest bank in Switzerland, UBS, famous for letting you have a bank account and not telling the world. Like the IRS calls and says, hey, I want everything they got on Tommy Scoville. They go, yeah, we don't do that. Sorry, figure out another way to bust them. Blitz, good to see you. Well, the United States government says we want 52,000 accounts. We want to know the names on them, and we want to see all of the transactions in and out. Now, who are the 52,000 people that they were looking for? I don't know that we're going to find that out. But Hillary Clinton steps in as Secretary of State because obviously this is what a Secretary of State does. They talk to banks and figures. But anyway, she makes a press conference just like Comey did. She came out and said, 4,000. We're going to let them open 4,000 of those. Immediately, that bank donated $600,000 to the Clinton Global Initiative. Their employees pledged almost 900,000. And now every year, 500 grand, UBS, every year, boom, boom, forever, pay to play. You understand how illegal this is, yeah? Okay, Obama knew about it. How do you know that, Tommy? Well, we know that because there was a aide named Huma Abedin, that was a Hillary Clinton's right hand, literally. And I bet you they did weird things with that right hand. They seem to have a very tight relationship. I'm just saying. It's odd that how much access she seemed to have to Hillary. But her boyfriend was a guy named Anthony Weiner. Perfect last name. On the regular, he likes taking pictures of this Weiner and sending it to people not yet old enough to vote, and in some cases drive a car. Sorry?
Or look at Wieners.
Yeah, or look at Wieners to be sure. So what ends up happening is he gets busted for being a scumbag. They get into his laptop. And by getting into his laptop and one other employee, they can't see everything she bleach bitted, but they can see a lot of forwarded emails. And a lot of them were forwarded from Barack Obama, but not from any other computer, specifically to the one in her house, which had an email address that had zero to do with the government. Very private email. Who cares? Who cares is this is one of those things where our most top secret stuff on the world, literally our most top secrets were getting sent, like Hotmail over to Hillary's place. And you know what? We also found out about it because the Russians hacked her server. That's a problem. The other problem is Barack Obama knew about this and decided not to prosecute. In fact, he decided to do not a damn thing. And the more you look at it, there are people who seem to know that there's he was a little bit more involved maybe than simply not doing anything. Hillary Clinton's right hand retired decades ago, according to Bill. That's when he developed his problems. Yeah, we need a few good men, Rocket Queen, in leadership. The political machine often warps and corrupts them. You know what the problem is, in my humble opinion, folks, and you can take this or not? I think the problem is that we have allowed this to go on for so long that the culture in Washington, D.C. is a real problem. People get elected and they sit in office for 30 to 40 years. They can do insider trading. They have all of these perks that make these people not, they're no longer politicians. First of all, what the hell is a politician anyway? You know, what is a politician? When they sat down and drafted up the Constitution that became the backbone of everything in the United States, these were guys that brewed beer. These were dentists. These were lawyers. These were blacksmiths, right? Veterinarians, because there were no politicians, right? So these people had to come from normal life. And even our first president, right, offered the opportunity to become king. Said, no, I'm going to go back to work. 4 years, get in and get out. But you end up with these families, right, like the Bushes or the Clintons, that seem to transcend all of that, right? This is a real issue, and it's an ignored issue. It is. It's absolutely ignored. Barack Obama will get away with whatever he did. He will. Everybody in this is going to get away with whatever they did. And the reason is, in my opinion, our current president now has the opportunity to do what the last president could have done and release all of this. Show the world what really happened with Jeffrey Epstein. Is he going to do that? You go, why wouldn't he do that, Tommy? I mean, you can do that. Maybe destroy the Democratic Party in one fell swoop, right? Now, a lot of Republicans are in there too. Guaranteed there's going to be some dirt in there with the Republicans. But more importantly, where you're really going to run into some trouble, how about if you had the ability to just call those people and say, hey, there's a vote tomorrow at 11 o'clock on the bill, you know, to build whatever. You're going to vote my way on this bill. In fact, you're going to vote how I want you to vote for the rest of the time that I'm here. This is blackmail designed, right? That's what they were trying to do from Jump Street with everything that Epstein does. It points toward him having information on people. Well, now he's got dirt on everyone, literally everyone. If you could get that package put together and you run a country where your job is to try to convince the people that hate you to vote for your bill, well, that would be really tempting to sit on, don't you think? I mean, honest to God, would that be just really tempting? Politics, poly means many, and tick is a small, tiny-brained, blood-sucking critter. Well played. Well played. It's like the progress, pro. What's the opposite of pro? Con. So the opposite of progress? Congress. Who's your guy? Our mayor has been mayor for almost 13 years and will probably be elected mayor again real soon. Well, you probably don't live in Chicago, right? But Chicago had Mayor Daley for, I think, almost the entire time that there was a Chicago. Once he went, his kid came in. It's just who's going to be. It's just kind of how it runs, right? It's frightening how much we are in a tinderbox. I heard the victims of Epstein's are making their own list. They held a press conference where they said they're going to make their own list, and I really hope that that's just exactly what happens. I seem to always like all of our presidents for one reason or another, but then things come out and it's like finding out your ex-boyfriend had been cheating the whole time. Yeah, or your ex-girlfriend. Either of those can, because I know exactly how you feel. And this has been the way forever. But unfortunately, these have changed the entire landscape of what can be done, right? Algorithms and things that are designed to figure out what you're going to look at. This thing is dangerous. It's dangerous because they will choose. You know, everyone. I've done a lot of shows recently on artificial intelligence because of how fast artificial intelligence is moving us toward the apocalypse. Even the people that design it, Tommy's one of those tinfoil hat guys. No, I'm just listening to the people that are actually working on these projects who all say it's the most exciting thing in the entire world. It may kill us. It may destroy the entire planet. We're not sure. But if we stop or slow down, if we stop or slow down, our enemies will go past us. And if they go past us, then the world's over. Because once you have that much knowledge, then you can kill your enemies in ways that people never even thought of. So I get one email after another from people who go, well, how are they going to kill us? Like, what do you think? And the more I think about it, it seems to me that you don't have to kill them. If you can choose what someone looks at, you can choose what they wear. I'm serious. These algorithms are so freaking advanced at this point that everything you look at on a computer is going to be designed to you. The person sitting next to you will not be looking at the same stuff, even if they're on the same sites, because it's learning you. It's all it's doing all day long, learning you, everything about you to the smallest degree, to a point where it anticipates what the next question that you're going to ask is with remarkable accuracy. So people go, I get other emails that say you're paranoid about it. The technology hasn't. I've done shows before where we talked about a place called Göbekli Tepe. This is a archaeology site that was found in what is today Turkey. It's very interesting. It looks more like Stonehenge than like pyramids, but you've got very Stonehenge-like two vertical stones weighing tens of tons and ones that go across the top. They say these are representations of human beings, but they can't be sure because they can't figure out any of the symbols on there. The smartest people in the world have been trying to decipher this to see if it's a language or if it's just kind of cool pictures. There are people that have been working on this since the day they discovered Göbekli Tepe, literally. So 30, 40 years, I think, at this point. It's a fairly recent discovery. It didn't take AI very long at all to go, oh no, this is absolutely not random pictures of animals. In fact, this is a sky map. Shouldn't be a shocker because there was already some things that pointed toward that's probably what they were doing. And they're saying to us that this upends history as we know it, because they have always believed that once we figured out a way to create enough food, right, that we didn't have to worry about eating anymore. So when we went from hunters to producing crops and hunter-gatherers, once that happened, we started to set up communities. This is when you saw things like pyramids, like Stonehenge, because obviously until you got the food stuff taken care of, that was the most important thing. Then you would start to do these religious things or whatever. There's no sign of that at all at Göbekli Tepe. In fact, it seems to be quite the opposite. Before they did anything else, they seem to have built this. And that's a real shocker to people that have been studying and writing and defending the narrative currently about history. But how do we know that AI isn't BSing us? Honestly, I mean, especially in something this unbelievable. Now, scientists are now looking at this and doing a peer review. And so far, it's almost unanimous that they go, I don't know how we missed this. This does seem to be, a mapping of the stars. And this particular symbol matches to Orion's belt. And this particular symbol matches to the Pleiades or whatever. The point is, as I'm reading this article and I'm realizing exactly what's happening, I don't think AI needs to kill us. They just determine who the best president would be and guarantee that we all vote that way. It's not a hard thing to do. Once you understand the human mind enough, they can just keep moving you a little bit in whatever direction. If I had the ability to determine what you would look at, what you would hear, and what you would see for entertainment, for shopping, for everything, how long do you think it would take for me to figure out a way to do anything, whatever it is I'm wanting to do? We're handing that over to people currently, willingly. The insane thing is we are going to be we're getting to a place in 2026 where human beings will stop programming AI. AI will program itself. Smaller computers will be working with other small computers to work on the master computer, so to speak. And nobody, with the exception of the guy that now runs the company, so OpenAI, the people that brought you Chat, GPT, PGP, PCP, what's it called? GPT. The people that brought you Chat, GTP. GPT. Yeah, that's what I said. the guy running that gig, his name's Sam, he apparently says, no, we can do this safely. He used to be the biggest voice out there for we can't do this safely. But no one wants this to stop, including the president of the United States and the leader of any other country that's working on this. The other option, right, is we go, hey, we have to back up and make sure that this can't explode and kill the entire planet. And then someone in the room raises his hand and goes, the Chinese aren't going to stop. They're going to keep going. And because of how AI works, currently, every year, we're looking at a rate of growth, how much further along we are each year. It's growing by factors of 10. It's going to end up growing by factors of 100 when there's computers doing it. Why was Maxwell moved? She was moved because you can't get access to an inmate in a federal corrections institution or a United States penitentiary. By putting her at a low, the press can come in and talk to her. People from the Justice Department can come in easily and talk to her. Everything in a prison that is an FCI or a USP, the hoops that you have to hop through in order to be able to sit down and talk to somebody, it is almost impossible to get anything done. So where we're at is they wanted her to be able to sit down with a bunch of lawyers. All parties involved need her on whatever page they're on. When she did the interview, people go, it was softball questions. She didn't answer any real questions. She told the world that she set up the foundation that Hillary Clinton and her husband claimed to run, that she and Jeffrey Epstein were the absolute pivotal starters of the Clinton Global Initiative. Do you think they did that because they were such good friends? Because there's something about banging high school girls together when you're 50-something that just really brings guys together? How do we know Jeffrey Epstein in the first place? If he didn't get in trouble doing the things that he did, how would we know him? Here's how we would know him. He's excellent at laundering money. He's excellent at hiding money. He's remarkably gifted at talking to people in places around the world who listen to him for whatever reason. He had a fleet of jets, about 5 of them. Bill Clinton got on those jets to go to Africa, not to go to the little James Island. And I'm not saying he hasn't been there, because he sure as hell has. But the vast majority of his flights were to go pick up paychecks, tens of millions of dollars. Yeah. They were laundering unbelievable amounts of money through the Clinton Global Initiative. How do folks learn how to do all of these things, launder money, etc.? You know what? I'll catch all kinds of crap for this, but I will answer this question anyway. You look at a business. By the way, this is micro laundering as opposed to macro laundering, right? But this is the easiest way to kind of explain it. If you look at a business and you realize that the vast majority of people that are using the services or the goods at the particular business are paying in cash. Anytime somebody hands you dead presidents on pieces of paper, it's very difficult for the government to track that. So let's say you do $200,000 a year in business and you do $100,000 of it in cash. Whether or not you pay tax on that is whether or not you just happen to be a stand-up citizen, right? Your conscience will be your guide, because it's very difficult for the government to come in and say, hey, you didn't pay taxes. The way they find that is, like, let's say you're working for YouTube and you get a paycheck every month from YouTube. The IRS will know what you're making. But if YouTube was paying half of my check in cash, I would probably have an opportunity to not pay the government as much. So let's look at a really easy setup for laundering, like a tanning salon. A lot of people pay with cash, right? So let's say you got a bag that's got $3 million in it. You go and acquire a tanning salon. And now when people come in, you can give them away the tannings, because all you're really trying to do is put more cash into the till. So a guy will go down to a college campus and invite everybody in the fraternities and everybody in the sororities to come and tan for free. Then they go to the strip clubs, or they go to the weight rooms, and they hand out cards. First 90 days free. Now you got a business that's got crap loads of people coming in and out. And every time they do, the guy puts $50 or whatever the going rate is in the tray. Person didn't pay, but you took a picture of them for an ID. You start a file with them. And as they got more advanced, they would go out and buy a prepaid Visa card with $500 worth of cash, and now use that card only for that person. So they drop that in the file. When the person comes in after 90 days, they start billing his card. which the launderer can keep upping with cash, right? Those don't have names associated with it. You can go in and buy a prepaid card without showing any ID. This is how the concepts start. Very often, like you saw in Goodfellas or any of the other ones, mobster movies, gangster movies, bars are huge because a lot of people in bars pay with cash, right? And there's a huge potential to take money off of the top, so to speak, in those businesses. Now, as it gets more complex, if you ever got confused in Goodfellas, like when they were getting ready to torch the restaurant and they're arguing, they knew someone that owned the restaurant. He said he was having problems. The mob came in and became his partner. And what the mob will do is when you buy something at a restaurant, or for a lot of businesses, nobody has the money to go, all right, I'm selling laptops. I need to buy 600 Apple laptops for cash so I can start my business. You'd never make it. So you buy it on a net pay. They deliver the stuff. They front it to you. We've all been down that road, right? They front you the product. So you got a bar and you got people fronting you sides of beef. They got you fronting you Dom Perignon and Cristal, cases of beer, cases of bourbon, and they would take it in the front door on the front, sell it out the back door at 25 cents, on the dollar, put all that money into their pocket. And when there's nothing left to sell, you burn the place with a bunch of empty bottles sitting around, and you burn it to the ground. And when the insurance money pays off, the mob walks away. The bar usually magically reopens. Now, computers have made all of these things far more difficult to do, and I'm not giving a tutorial, but I'm trying to explain once somebody is in the life, if your problem, right, as a criminal, your problem as a criminal is I got $4.5 million in cash. That's a problem, right? You don't go down to the Remax person and go, hey, saw a really cool condominium right out there on the Pacific Ocean, and I've got 2 Adidas gym bags full of $20 bills. I'd like to buy it. Doesn't go well, right? So you have to launder the money. You have to pay taxes on the money. By paying taxes on the money, it's now legal. Now, a lot of gangsters don't want to pay taxes because you're going to lose, 30% of the money that you just stole or made from gambling or doing drugs or whatever. But they want legitimacy. Now, if you're doing this at a institutional style level, if you're doing this because you're illegally selling guns to other countries, then you find a fixer. You find a guy that launders money. A person usually has a very their ability to do math is usually amazing. And the way that they very often do it is by setting up ridiculous numbers of companies to do one thing, right? So now you've got 9 shell corporations, some of them billing out as advisors. And there's just a lot of ways to make it so difficult for the Internal Revenue Service to follow the cash. And apparently no one was better at that than Jeffrey Epstein. You pay a ton of folks in cash, big amounts too. I wish you lived next door. That's well, all my customers paying in cash. I'm kidding. Just pay taxes. Don't make any money. Not really a problem. Air Supply songs are running through my head right now. Nothing wrong with that, right? I'm lying alone. Isn't that Air Supply? It's great. We have often been given 2 prices by folks. One if we pay by check and one if we pay by cash. Yeah, you know why? Because if I sell you something at $100, I'm going to end up, let's say my profit's $100. I'm going to give the government, depending on how much I make, somewhere between about $17 and about $32, unless I'm making unbelievable amounts of cash, in which case, that's probably not going to go down. But let's say I come in and you say, I want to buy this. I could say to you, look, instead of my profit being 100, I'd rather it be 90, right? So if you pay in cash, I'll knock 10 off of it because I'm not going to pay tax on it. I'm just going to put it under the drawer, right? You lift up, stick the cash under the drawer. And when you put in the cash receipts, you're probably not going to slip it in there. And here's the thing. If you run a small business and you're skimming $10,000 a year tax-free, you can fill your car with it. You can, tip people, go to restaurants. But if every penny you make is cash, you're in deep trouble, right? It becomes a real problem trying to figure out a way to make that cash legal. I'm all out of love. Good tune. The B lady says, yes, I am running a small business. It is very difficult in these days to go into a bank and get cash. They don't like doing it. We went through that on the way here. As you might imagine, we took, everything we had here. So You can take about 9,000 on an airplane each, and the rest of it you have to figure out a way to get it to the new country, and that has to be done by wiring stuff from from your home bank to your new country home bank. Favorite slow sad song? It's a good one. Tommy, you have to stay under 10 grand at the bank or you are flagged. Speaking of flagged, I can't remember the last video that I have done that did not get knocked. Like when I said Charlie Sheen raped Corey Haim, I'm not going to say great. I'm not. But it's amazing, man, how many. They've gotten so good at it that they dinged my my squirrel video yesterday. They're just dinging everything without even looking at it. Yeah, Johnny got dinged on one of his videos as well. And sometimes they say we don't have that much here, and that can be the case. There are all. B lady says, "Chat, please visit me in prison." I prefer cash. It's going away. They're not going to allow us to have it for much longer because it's the last bastion of control, right? Once they get rid of cash completely, then everything you do they can control. The people go, I think a digital currency sounds great. It's a lot more convenient. Until they get pissed or they think you're a bad person. You go on the road, right? You say that I'm running. They just go, turn off your money. Can't buy or sell. Makes it a little bit more difficult. It also sounds a hell of a lot like Revelation, doesn't it? Cash is still king on Facebook Marketplace. I like to buy and sell secondhand stuff. Cash is still king here, the country that I live in. What a bunch of YouTube putz is. Well, you know what it is too, Audra, is I say cocaine in every show. I say heroin in most shows. There's a lot of mention of drug because it's very much part of what everyone's trying to quit. They do not like you saying those words because they assume I'm coming out here and going, hey, what you really need to do is bang some smack. They don't distinguish. The algorithm's just looking for the words. So if a guy comes out and says, you should never do heroin ever, don't ever do that. Or he comes out and goes, you should do heroin every day. The algorithm basically views it the same way. You're going to have to, in every single instance, fight it. And I mean, about 40%, I think, 30%. I used to win all of them. But then at that time, I was just using the drug names. I was still saying assault, unalive. What are some of the other ones? All of those stupid, knocking the edges off of everything that is horrid and nasty and sad. So the landscape currently with everything going on in the country, I know it seems like doom and gloom, it doesn't mean that it's something that you should bury your head in the sand and forget is happening. It's a very dangerous way to live. I spent decades living that way. And I promise you, it never works out. I love raw honey too. Man, do I love raw honey. Years ago, my husband got over $10,000 from the bank. They asked him what it was for. He said coke and strippers as a joke. No follow-up after that. Speaking of which, Rodney King. Rodney, how did you manage to spend $5 million in 2 years? He said, well, I blew about 4.5 of it on crack and hookers. And the other 500 grand I just kind of wasted. I'm not even joking. That was actually said. Find out one of the funniest quotes ever. Not funny, ha-ha, funny irony, ha. You're allowed to be gifted up to 8,000 and you need a gift letter. Oh my goodness. I did not know that. I didn't know you needed a gift letter. And that number used to be a lot higher. I remember when I had a boss that liked to gift money. He was big on that. And we used to get 20 from him. That was what he could get away with, apparently. But times are changing. So I was going to do a show this evening. My original show was going to be about my ex-fiance. And I do believe that at one time or another, I probably did a show where I said, this is my final word on the subject. And the sad thing is, I will get absolutely disassembled by all of the asshats on the interwebs because I am going to come out and make a video after I said that I was not going to discuss the subject matter again. But the truth of the matter is, there's a lot of you who are just simply not content. And I get a tremendous amount of people that fish, for lack of a better way to put it, to try to get more info on myself or my ex-fiance, and if there's any type of back and forth relationship between the two of us. It seems to be a very fascinating subject matter for a lot of people, which I think probably says a lot about the fact that we had a pretty cool communication. We were an awful lot of fun to listen to together. I'm not bragging. We did very good shows together, in my opinion. I've always said when my husband's dead and I'm elderly, I'll get strippers and do lines. Why not? Well, there you go. The only problem is, and this is an interesting question, and I'm not picking on you, but it does bring up a really cool kind of philosophical question that gets asked a lot in rehabs. And that's, if they launched, or we knew that you had 2 days left or 3 days left, would you go and use your substance of choice? I mean, you're not going to blow through your life savings in 3 days. You're not going to be in any danger of catching a habit that's going to be a problem for you in 3 days, because all of these things matter a lot less when when you know that your life is about to end. What do they say? The cash is something you only need if you expect to be alive in the following week. If you don't, and I remember in the beginning saying, yeah, absolutely, I'd get a pile of it. What was that? What was that movie? Was it Young Guns? He says there's 3 guys playing poker, and the world's about to end. One says, I'm going to go get a bottle of tequila. The other said, I'm going to go get me a whore. And the third guy said, I'm going to finish this hand. If I knew that it was about to go down, it's probably, I can't think of too many things in my life that I can say I've never done that sober. Like I spent so much time wasted that just about everything in my life I've done either sober or on drugs. It's a small list of things that I've done only sober, right? I want to meet my maker without a buzz on. And that's just, yes. Will they do? People still do care about Reese and myself. And usually it's about a 50-50 split of people that send me emails and say, oh man, you guys should be together. It doesn't make any sense that you're not, blah, blah, blah. And the other tends to go in the opposite direction. But either way, I'm going to do an entire show on it so that I can tell you guys exactly where I come down on this in enough detail that if you reach out in the future and say, hey, what's going on, I can go refer to the other. But I will tell you this, the access that I have allowed to people in my life, I will never do again. Whether I stay single until the day I die, whether I fall in love and marry somebody, or I do some version of in between, I am absolutely 100% living my life in a different way because of things, you live and learn. And this is not something that there's a handbook for. And if there was a handbook for it, the handbook would suck, because we're kind of, we're learning on the fly. I am, I've never truly been single. I don't know if you've ever seen me with Squirrel, but the two of us really have a beautiful relationship. My cat is absolutely fantastic. All right, between now, folks, and the next time that we get together, there's a couple of things that I would like you to do. Number one, I would like you to put a little love in your heart. If you're really a lifeboater and you're not, that other guy, but if you're really a lifeboater and you are, and you would like to see us go in one of the directions we were talking about, there's no getting away from Epstein, people. I have to talk about that story. It's just the way it is. But there's a lot of other things that are coming out. If there's something you think the boat ought to be looking at, I promise you, if Wendy Adelson, if and when they decide to get a run at Wendy Adelson, I promise you, we're going to be covering that. I really am fascinated by the level of evil that woman possesses, for real. She's a like a female Bundy, and I don't mean she's out killing people like that. I mean, when you look at her, there's a disconnect. It's something that you see in serial killers and psychos, but there's just something about Wendy that is really, really ugly. So I absolutely love you talking about spiritual matters. Do me a favor, because my brain is like a sieve. So if you do not mind, Epstein on the side with a dollop of yogurt. Saw that coming. Yeah, stone face is a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it. Empty soul, another great way to put it. Much love to you, B lady. I would like for you to air supply. What a beautiful thing to say. You would like for me to just be happy. Can you help us understand this new tokenization of the entire banking industry that's coming? I can. And that's the kind of thing I would love for people. Do me a favor, though. Put it in the comments after this show. And please just write down exactly how you did Hope Between the Dreams, because that is something I would like to talk about. And I think I could explain it to you. That is something it's in my wheelhouse. Do I think Wendy's medicated? I do think Wendy is medicated. But whatever they got her on, I've done. And I promise you she's doing a better job than I would. She's really, really nasty. So do me a favor, folks. I'm not kidding. Put that into the comments and I will do, MLM scams and abuse. Please, Kellyanne, write these down, because what you put in the chat is what you're going to be seeing on the boat. It used to work a lot better when I allowed you guys to do that. So we're going to do it again. Between now and the next time I see you, I want you to put a little love in your heart. And hold on one second, because this right here, that is a cat in a basket. It's a very large cat in a basket. What do you say, Katy Perry? She's a good girl. She's a good girl. You see that? Yeah, that's right. Look over here, you little snot. She heard me call her a good girl, and her head went up from the chair. That's what you get. You should be in the basket. All right, people, I will see you on the next one. Between now and then, reach out, try to save somebody, and put a little love in your heart. I believe our government has gotten far too interested in our personal business, but we gave them that power, and it'll be really hard to get them out again. And from Mass, a little smarter than the average bear. All right, folks, see you on the next one. Put a little love in your heart. I'm Tommy. Have a good night. Pray for my brother and myself, please. I'll take it. We'd like to wake up healthier.